We are going to build your squat. I've learned a lot of lessons taking my squat from 518 at my first meet to 926 in wraps and 799 in sleeves as my most recent PRs. And you might be thinking, but Seth, you're 5'11 and built like a meatball, squatting should be easy for you. Well, following the advice I'm going to talk about here, tall guy Doug took his squat from 606 to 804 in 2.5 years, and even taller guy Keelan took his from 451 at his first meet to 772 in the gym last week, and we're currently peaking him for his first 800 plus in a meet. So we're going to get into the 3 big things that are likely holding back your raw squat, starting with the one that almost all of you are screwing up. Your brace, because you look like a wet noodle underneath the squat bar. And I know, you've watched 37 how to brace during squat videos already, but I'm going to tell you the one thing that all of those videos are missing. It's not how you set your brace, but when. Because if you wait until you're ready to squat to think about your brace, you're not going to be locked in and you will be leaving pounds on the platform. So when do you need to lock in your brace? Before you even start the unrack. The process that I teach is once you're under the bar, set your shelf by squeezing your elbows behind you. Then you're going to pull your elbows down and in towards your ribcage to set your lats. After that, you'll apply pressure into the floor to drive your upper back into the bar, and you're going to use that pressure to set your abs, taking your air and then pulling your ribcage around the balloon you create. Then you just drive your head backwards, trying to push your traps into the bar while keeping all of that tension that you've just set. If you do it right, the bar should feel like it wants to float. Then just finish the stand-up and keep all of that tension through your walkout. And if you're in a monolift, we don't even have to worry about that because all you got to do from there is initiate, which is the next thing we're going to look at because we're paying attention to how you start the descent and the descent itself. Because if you're just flinging your hips back and trying to reach your ass to the wall behind you, you could be squatting more. I had to unlearn the sit back because early on, I was listening to Ripito yelling hip drive and reading all of the old West Side articles. But here's the thing, even if having strong hips is a good thing, the knees need to bend to squat and having strong quads is just gonna help your hips do their job. So at the initiation, we want enough hinge to let our hips work, but we also want to allow some knee brace so we can start loading into our quads. How much should you hinge? Well, we're going to look at your torso angle through the eccentric. If you need to hinge more on the way down to hit depth, we need more hinge earlier. If you aren't getting into your knees, we probably need to hinge less and sit down rather than sitting back. And if you can't get in your knees well, there's a couple of things that we can think about. First, do you have the ankle range to get there? And second, are your quads strong enough to support it? Because if you don't got the ankle range, we've got 2 options and then a bonus strategy. The first 2 are work on your ankles, and the second is elevate your heels. Which even if you do elevate your heels, I still want to do some work on your ankles, mostly because if they're in the way of squatting, they're probably also going to be in the way of your conventional deadlift. For that, I have a couple of tools that I like. Seated calf raises with the goal of accessing range of motion, doing calf raises in the bottom of a split squat, and getting your toes up on a yoga block, dropping your heel into a stretch, and then rolling the ankle side to side, which is going to help with that bonus weight that we're going to get some extra ankle range, which is deliberately trying to drop the arch of your foot into the floor as you squat. And I know that's the exact opposite of what everyone says we should be doing with their feet during a squat, but those people are what we call wrong. Because dropping the arch is going to do a few very cool things for us. Because if we look at the ankle, it is the articulation between your big shin bone, the tibia, and the top of the foot, or the talus. The ankle joint has a hard limit on how much range of motion is available, but we can get more knee over toe without needing to create more space for the tibia to slide on the talus. How are we going to do that? Dropping the arch of the foot is going to roll the talus down and forwards. The tibia will still be limited in how much it can move in relation to the talus, but the tibia will be further forward in relation to the foot. And I know someone's screaming, but that's going to put us into internal rotation. Well, exactly. The tibia needs to rotate internally on the femur for knee flexion to happen. And to hit powerlifting depth, we need some femoral IR. That inwards roll is only going to help us out. And no, this isn't cueing us to collapse our knees and go into knee valgus because rotation can happen independent of adduction or knee in. An added bonus of this, that rotation is going to let the adductors have a way easier time contributing to hip extension. And if you're a guy who's constantly tweaking your adductors and you're trying to shove your knees out, just quit. Focus on floor pressure from the inside of the foot and then let the knees go where they want to go, and they're gonna go to the right place. If you're someone that has excessive knee collapse, shoving knees out harder ain't the solution either. What we need to do is make the adductors stronger, because the knees coming in is just shifting leverage away from the adductors to the glutes. Make the adductors strong enough to operate with the knees out, and the knees are going to be able to stay out. Once you got the ankles sorted out, if you still can't get your knees far forward enough to hit the hole in a good position, well, we got to make the quads stronger, which is going to bring us to the last thing that I am looking at. What happens on the way up of your squat? Because if you can drive straight up out of the hole, we don't have much to worry about. But if your hips are kicking back and your squat turns into a shitty good morning, we need to do something about it. And no, the answer isn't more good mornings, because that's only going to make the problem worse. Because you're only kicking back because the legs aren't strong enough to drive the bar straight up. When you fall forward on the way up, most of the time it's because your quads aren't strong enough to move the bar, but since the knees still need to extend out of the bottom, your knees are going to extend without having the bar move, and then all of the work gets shifted to your hips and back in that shitty squat morning. So getting stronger at good mornings is just going to make the hips and back stronger relative to the quads, so you're only going to get better at turning squats into a good morning. The solution? Stronger quads, because quads are what are going to let a raw squat happen. And when we're on the quest to becoming Quadzilla, we want to think about movements that are really going to be good at putting tension in the quads and not having too much else involved, plus movements that are going to teach us how to stay in the quads during a squat. For making them strong, there ain't going to be much better than a well-executed hack squat. What's going to make it well executed for the sake of building quad strength? Setting up with your feet low on the platform and making sure you're controlling your way into forward knee travel. We can even let the heels come up a little bit if you want to make a really gnarly on that deep knee flexion. And I've had a lot of guys that I've told that they need stronger quads, and then they respond telling me they're already doing hacks the way I talk about. I'll ask them how much weight they're using, and the answer is usually 1 or 2 plates per side. Well, the standard we're going for is 8 plates. Make them strong, and you're going to be able to stay in your legs. Now, learning to stay in your legs can be a little bit trickier. For this, I like to run variations that force you to stay in the quads. High bars can be good here, but if you're not super intentional, you still can good morning a high bar. So if you're forcing the load, cut that out and keep it light enough that you don't tip forward, and visualize trying to keep your hips under the bar. In the short term, yes, this will mean less weight on the bar, but if you can build them up without tipping, your low bar squat will be way better off. The alternate option is a front squat. And yeah, there is going to be someone in the comments commenting that a front squat is upper back or torso limited. Well, here's the thing. If you tip forward on a front squat, it's the exact same reason as a back squat. Your quads aren't strong enough to maintain that squat pattern, and the difference between a front squat and a back squat is on a front squat, you can't turn it into good morning or else you're going to dump the bar, which is a good thing for our purposes. Keep it where you don't collapse forward, make the quad strong, and as your front squat blows up, so will your back squat. And if you're a tall guy like Keelan, it's not the front squats that are bad for you. You just need to run enough heel elevation and make your quads strong enough over time that you actually can do them. So just start doing them. And that might not be everything that you need, but it's going to lay the groundwork for what to think about for your squat training. And if you need more, I've got a free squat technique and training guide where I'll send you an email every day that will change how you think about squatting. And if you don't want to go through the trouble of having to figure this all out yourself, hit the link below and join the team so I can give you daily individualized coaching on all of your lifts. Plus, you're going to be able to get programming sent straight to an app on your phone. Coaching like this does not exist anywhere else in powerlifting, and right now the team is free for the first week, so hop in, get coaching from me, and if you aren't blown away by it, you can cancel, no sweat.